Georgia the exception, but I'll tell you what, they're always tough in the SEC on the road. Kirk Herbstreit of the Game Day crew here. This was another hard, knockout, drag-down SEC fight, wasn't it?
You know, but it was another example of Tennessee showing a lot of grit. I mean, they're on the road. That's the whole reason I thought they'd struggle, is on the road on a Saturday night in the SEC. It's just so tough to get out with a win. And when you can't run the football, and you have to continue to rely on Eric Ainge in the passing game, and they keep finding ways to get it done, that's not something you see very often. So it's just, again, a tribute to him for standing in there and making the plays.
Kirk Herbstreit of ESPN, thanks for your time, man.
You got it, man.
I appreciate that. And the sentiment's the same for head coach Philip Fulmer, who said, without a doubt, the key play in the game, that 65-yard punt return by Jonathan Hefney.
It's really a shame he didn't get it in for a touchdown there for himself, but it really made a difference. Obviously made a huge difference in the ball game on the punt return, made a huge difference in the ball game that we scored on defense early in the ball game.
Oh, we work hard on it every day in practice, and I mean it's showing up now. Seeing that that we everything we do in practice is just showing up.
And after that punt return, the Vols were able to punch it in and take a 28-17 lead. Eric Ainge once again leading his team from behind, but some concern after this one, with Eric suffering an ankle sprain late against the Gamecocks.
Well, I don't know where we are with that. I'm going to find out early in the morning, and you know, I'm anxious to see. You know, he had a lot of pain. And, you know, you don't know what that's going to end up like. Well, they just couldn't push off. And, you know, I was worried about him being able to get the ball back, even hand it off, or if we were going to get in a situation where we chose to throw, I wasn't sure he could, he wasn't either, wasn't sure he could push off and get it done.
I'm walking, I'm looking, I'm fine right now, so we'll see. I'll have to check all that. That's not my call to say anything about that.
And the big news off the field before the game, Demetrius Morley, Tennessee's safety, not playing in the first half, disciplined by Coach Fulmer for academic reasons.
I had got in some trouble, missed the class, and, you know, Coach Fulmer expects the best from us, and so he disciplined me, maybe missed the first half, and, you know, I learned from that, and I see now how much, you know, it's hard for me not to be out there with my guys and know that they need me out there, and, you know, it's a life lesson. You know, Coach Fulmer wants us to succeed in life and be the best that we can be, and I thank him for that, for learning me an early life lesson and not to be late or not to miss anything.
And so the Volunteers improved to 7-1 overall, 3-1 in Southeastern Conference play, heading back to Knoxville for that huge showdown against the LSU Tigers, 3:30 on CBS and Volunteer TV. For the Locker Room, presented by Tennessee Traditions, I'm Rick Russo reporting.
All right, Rick, thanks so much. So much to talk about tonight. First off, we told you last week Bob Kessling, the voice of the Vols, would be on tonight. He has had a death in the family, so Bob called and has rescheduled. We're going to have him coming up in a few weeks here in the Locker Room. But we're excited to have in tonight Mike Griffith from GoVolsExtra.com and the News Sentinel. Trooper Taylor right here, Tennessee's wide receivers coach. They got the night off, so he said he's coming in here tonight. And Dewey Warren, former Tennessee quarterback. Guys, good to have you in.
Thanks for inviting us.
Let's clarify, though, evening off with LSU coming, how did the schedule work out for you to be available?
Actually, we went in today and graded the tape and film and, you know, went over all the mistakes and tried to correct those things. And then we did some recruiting, and because we had such a long trip, Coach let us off a little earlier than 11 o'clock. So.
Well, that's a positive. Mike, let's talk about Trooper as far as the wide receivers. I think that's probably the biggest positive for Tennessee this year, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you've got, well, you've had three healthy guys, and Robert Meacham and Brett Smith and Jason Swain. And I think one of the things that Coach Taylor has enforced that Coach Cutcliffe wanted was to keep the best guys on the field. In the past, we've seen a lot of rotation, but now, you know, Troop's getting the best guys out there. And last night he was encouraging Jason Swain, and obviously Jason Swain's a guy that proved to be very pivotal in that game.
Dewey, let's run through the stats and tell me what jumps out and grabs you as we look through the stats of the game. First off, the team statistics. You know, it wasn't pretty, but you played in the Southeastern Conference long ago, and you know that it's not easy anywhere you go.
Anytime you win, I'll take a win. I don't care. They had more yards than we did, ran more plays than we did, but we outscored them, and that's the difference.
Eric Ainge, 21 of 29, 254, and the 2 touchdowns. The wide receivers, Trooper, you analyze this.
You know, I was really proud of the guys. They came out and made plays like we wanted them to. You know, Meacham obviously stood out with 106 yards, and you know, just to see Swain come out in his presence as far as his leadership, and he made a big play on the 3rd down. You know, he caught 3 balls for 45 yards, and you know, and Brett Smith, guys, he just makes plays. I mean, he's a touchdown maker. I mean, I don't know where he even comes from sometimes, but he ends up with a touchdown. So
he's your Chris Carter. All he does is score touchdowns, right?
Without a doubt.
That's all he does. Running backs, not much to write home about again. And is this a major concern, Troopers? Your wide receivers, you want to get big numbers, but if you can't run the football, it's going to be tough.
you know, obviously something that we're going to work on and continue to stress. But, you know, we have to go out there and play winning offense, and that means having one more point than the other team does. And if that means throwing it 400 times or rushing it 400 times, we're going to do whatever it takes to win.
My type of man.
Statistically speaking, Dewey, this is what you're talking about. South Carolina outgains Tennessee, yet the Vols find a way to get the win.
Well, and that's true. You know, like Trooper says, you do what you have to do to win. And if they're not going to give you the run, take the pass and let the guys make plays, and they've been doing it all year.
You know, key stat that's not showing up there. Well, there it is at the bottom there. The turnovers, to me, were the biggest factor. I mean, the defense getting in the end zone early on, stopping them in the red zone the first time the defense set a stop inside the 20-yard line this year. I mean, that's huge. And then the special teams play, Jonathan Hefney, who made it quite a homecoming with that punt return, as well as excellent defense. He was also the guy that was there on the spot to play before to make him punt the ball. So
let's put the phone number up real quickly, and then we'll get to the polls and go ahead and start taking your phone calls. We'll get the phone bank lined up, and then we'll get rolling along. You can call locally. There's the number. Statewide, it's 866-MyVol-TV. Now, we'll talk about the polls, and then we'll show you the polls. But the BCS, first off, guys, I keep asking this question. We're going to get the call tonight, Trooper. How is California ahead of Tennessee in the BCS poll?
You know, it's mind-boggling, but what we try to tell our guys and what we try to focus on is one game at a time, and we let the polls take care of itself because, you know, we really can't make that decision or those choices. All we can do is to take the guys that are on our schedule and go out and play the best that we can.
And there it is right there, Ohio State, Michigan. They conveniently play each other. West Virginia plays Louisville coming up on Thursday night, actually. Florida and Auburn. There's Texas. Texas almost lost to Texas Tech. My wife went to Texas Tech, and I was cheering for the Red Raiders for more reasons than one. Southern Cal at number 8, Notre Dame at 9. There's California at 10. And Tennessee is where? Page 2, 11. And there's Arkansas at 13 and LSU at 17. The schedule, Dewey, is a tough one coming up the next couple weeks. Don't have to tell Trooper that.
It's a tough schedule, but, you know, if you go out and just worry about each game at a time, the BCS, the standings will all take care of itself and play for 60 minutes. You can't get caught up in what computers are going to spit out. So just go play, get ready for LSU, play one game at a time. It looks like this team's been doing that.
Well, yeah, Mike Dewey's been around here obviously longer than we have. But at the same time, looking at this Tennessee-Florida situation, it used to be if you lost to Florida, the race was over. And right now it looks like that again almost.
Yeah, it does. And it was a tough game, and it was, you know, a one-point loss. Certainly could have gone either way in that particular game. But, you know, I don't think Tennessee's out of it yet. I mean, South Carolina, if they play a perfect game, a great game, they can beat Florida. They're capable. I don't think they will, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. And it's like Trooper said, you know, this BCS, it doesn't matter. All that matters for Tennessee is to win out. And we talked about this on the show earlier. I think if Tennessee gets back into a BCS Bowl, I think this season is a success.
Yeah. All right, guys. Trooper, is this the first time you've taken live phone calls from all over the state?
First time.
First time. All right, here we go. Now, be gentle on Trooper. All right, look at him. I don't think he's even taken a bath. He's wearing the same thing he wore on television last night. The hat is still backwards. Okay, here's the deal. You've got a 30-second time clock. You don't get to ramble. Make your point, make your question, get off the line, and we'll answer the question as best we can. Robbie, out of Chattanooga, you're in first. Robbie, thanks for calling. Robbie, go for it.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, Trooper, just want to tell you, just love you as a coach. Hope you hang in there with us, and it's been great having you on the staff, both for running backs and wide receivers. Question is, on Eric Ainge, on the shoes he wears as far as different colors than anybody else and any other quarterbacks, is there a reason behind that, or is that just choice?
No, those are special ordered shoes to fit him. He, you know, had some feet problem out of high school, so we had to get that ordered specially, and so that's the color that they came in. You know, he's not trying to stand out different from anybody else, but they're definitely to protect his feet.
Let's clarify quickly. You talk about Eric Ainge's feet. Let's go ahead and tell you this, that the MRI, the X-rays, negative, which is the biggest positive of the day, is it not?
Without a doubt, and the receivers are all celebrating.
Dewey, this had to scare you. For me, my initial thought is what in the world are we doing sending Eric Ainge running around out there?
I said the same thing, and I asked Trooper before we came on the air, and we didn't need Eric running the ball, Mark. We needed him to hand it off or throw it to get out of the way.
At least let him bootleg like Peyton did.
Yeah.
I mean, that was going right into the teeth of that.
You know, for a minute I thought, guys, this was 2 years ago, and Schaefer ain't the one in the football game now. All right, let's get to Roger out of Knoxville. Roger, how's it going?
Actually, I was inviting him to my house for dinner.
No, whatever.
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
No, we obviously disagreed on calls, but the great thing about SEC officials, if you ask them, they will give you a good clarification. So that's what I was trying to do, just clarify exactly what the call was and why it was being called that way. Because I can't teach my guys if I don't know the answer to why they're being penalized. So that's why I was asking.
Did you say it in a nice way?
My mom's watching, so yes.
No, come on.
Actually, it was a little heated. It's SEC, and, it can get heated.
Let's get to John out of Knoxville. John, how's it going?
Fantastic, thanks. Coach
Good.
Taylor, I want to say it's wonderful having you on the staff. You bring a lot of enthusiasm, and it's one of his time management at the end of the first half where South Carolina had the ball inside of 20. They gave him 1 yard, and we had 3 timeouts, didn't use them. And then at the end of the game, 4th down, we're on like the 45, and instead of letting delay a game, we took our last timeout. Thanks.
Yeah, to answer your question, at the end of the half, we were trying to just get in there and get regrouped and get refocused so that we could all be on the same page. So that was important for us. And then, when we took the timeout, at that stage of the game, you don't want any mistakes. Obviously, you want to get out of there with a victory. And, Eric had been hurting, and we had Crompton in the game. We all wanted to be on the right page and make sure that we had him focused and on the same page so we wouldn't make mistakes. Because we just wanted to get on that knee and run that clock out is what we'd have liked to have done.
Dewey, one thing you were talking about, Eric Ainge, you were talking about, and as we watch here, now you may have been talking about that call right there. It went for a touchdown, okay?
Right.
That's great. But at the same time, the mechanics on that play, he was falling backwards. As a former quarterback, a concern for you?
Yeah, mechanics is all about a quarterback. You don't change his throwing. And when Eric gets his feet under him and gets his shoulder square, he throws as good as anybody.
Right.
And Trooper knows, and Trooper's done a good job with the receivers, making them run the routes and come back for the football. And as a quarterback, that's what you want, to run the routes and come back for the ball. So you have an opportunity to throw the ball. When Eric's mechanics are off is when the ball starts sailing.
Let's get to, I believe, out of Murfreesboro. Is it Greg?
Yes.
Hey, Greg, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Coach. Taylor, I got a couple questions.
Go for it.
First question is, with the play of Meacham, Swain, and Smith, is there any room for Hancock and Taylor coming up? And also, how do you like Cutcliffe throwing the receivers into the reverse process as well as playing them at running back? It's kind of dangerous for those 3 top receivers, and I'll hang up. Thank you.
As far as those guys that are making plays, with Meacham and Swain and Brett, they're doing a good job. But Hancock's a freshman, and he's got a little ways to go. I'm not going to put him out there until he's ready. But my philosophy is always play the best players, and I think that's something that you have to earn. I'm not going to just give it to somebody. They've got to prove that they're better than those other guys, and I'm going to try to keep the best ones out there. So that's just kind of the approach that we've taken. And as far as the reverse, I like it. Anytime I can get the ball in their hands, if they're playmakers, that's what we want to do. And I think that's one of the beauty of Coach Cutcliffe's offense is we're going to find ways to get the playmakers the ball.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with more of your phone calls right after this in the locker room. Stay with us.
That was huge. We knew we needed to go down and get some points, touchdown, preferably field goal at worst. We knew we needed to score. And line gave me time, and Meacham, had a true freshman guarding him, and that's a matchup we like.
Last year, I don't know if you would have seen his outcome, but this year we're showing a lot of character.
All right, everybody was talking earlier in the season about special teams. What's wrong with special teams? Why can't Tennessee do anything right on special teams? We're probably not going to get any of those phone calls tonight. Jonathan Heffney did awfully well, and he is this week's GoVolsExtra.com player profile of the week. Jonathan Heffney.
When I ran back there, I thought that if I got my hands on the ball, I figured I could make a play. And when I caught the ball, I just made the moves and I ran upfield and I had the block and I was pretty excited. I really wanted to score real bad, but it don't matter. We got to win. We say that we are a second half team, so I mean we really take pride in the fourth quarter and trying to shut people down. So that's what we go out there and do. We work hard on it every day in practice, and I mean it's showing up now. I'm seeing that everything we do in practice is just showing up. We're gonna fight to the end. We got character, and we never gonna let up because we really don't want to lose. So.
All right, Trooper, every time you see Mitchell running in for the touchdown, you laugh.
Yeah, you know, I cringe because of the fumbles from last year. I'm thinking high and tight, you know, and that outside just scares me every time. It could be my little 10-year-old son Blaze carrying it that way, and I have a cow, so it's tough for me to watch that.
Let's get to Al out of Knoxville. Al, you're next. 30-second time clock's going.
Go to get to that level.
Mike, you're giving some unusual looks here.
Well, I mean, I don't think Brett Favre comes out of the game with a broken ankle, much less a sprained ankle. I mean, I understand that Eric was in pain, but, you know, I was talking with Dewey before the show, and, you know, there's a new quarterback coming in, some center exchanges. I mean, Dewey Warren, let me ask you, what would it take to put you out of a game like this?
I wouldn't come out of the game, because one thing you fear when another quarterback comes in is the center quarterback exchange, especially in that situation where you're trying to score, kick a field goal. You don't want a bad snap, but you know, he came out, it must have been hurting.
Brett Favre never missed a start.
Yeah.
I mean,
in Eric's defense, too, guys, he didn't get that call. He don't get to make that decision.
He was trying to get back in, wasn't he?
He definitely was. You almost had to tie him down if you saw on the sideline. He kept trying to go. That was a trainer's decision, and that we had to go with it.
Well, they're built different, though. I mean, Eric is lanky and 6'6", and Brett Favre is, I think, one of the toughest human beings ever. So, I mean, that's the only thing I was cringing at, because I wouldn't compare any college quarterback to Brett Favre right now.
Yeah, I noticed the whole time he was talking, you're doing that.
Brett Favre, wow.
All right, Jason out of Knoxville. Jason, thanks for calling.
You couldn't play. Do we have a quarterback that's going to step up and play the game? Because it looked kind of shaky last week. So I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Well, I can promise you we have a quarterback if Eric can't go. Crompton can throw it through a car wash and not get it wet. I can promise you that. So, and our team is confident with him. He practices and he gets as many reps. So, and the receivers work with him just as well. So, and I'm going to tell you, he's a very, very intelligent quarterback. He knows the game of football, and he's definitely a competitor. And so I wouldn't feel bad at all about Crompton having to play.
You know, Dewey, South Carolina needs Trooper to be working with the defensive backs and receivers on how to catch the football, because he was bouncing around like a volleyball.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And that's okay, though. That, you know, Crompton, if he had to happen to come into the game, all you can tell him is just welcome to college football, because you get baptized real quick.
Well, I know he's ready. I mean, that guy to me looked real good in the preseason, and I know Eric's having a great year, but I think it's unfortunate he hasn't seen a little more playing time in a couple of those blowouts.
Well, what I got a kick out of is that Crompton comes into the football game, and he's standing there. All he needs to do is hand off 3 times, and he looks up and starts, you know, changing the call, and you guys were going nuts.
What was going on over there,
What was he doing?
Actually,
changing the play to a pass.
Actually, he was doing what he was coached to do as far as when there's that many guys in the box. But what he had to understand is there's no better teacher than experience. And at that time in the ball game, you're not looking to check to a pass. You're looking to hand that thing off.
He just wants to play.
So,
he's anxious to play, though.
That's right. But he was going through the steps. And you know, I like his competitiveness. And to be honest, he probably would have completed it, maybe for a touchdown, knowing Crompton, because he's that kind of competitor. And so I love the kid myself.
He could have put it away. Who knows? Wouldn't have had to worry about the end of the football game. Gary out of La Follette. Gary, how you doing?
Doing great. How y'all?
Good, man.
Trip, nice job you're doing this year. You got discipline back with the receivers.
I'm close to that situation. You know, and what we're trying to do is put the best players out there. A player that won't do is no better than a player that can't do it. And we want guys out there that will go out there and execute and do what they're supposed to. But they have to do it in practice. And I think both of those guys have a lot of talent, but they've got to prove that they belong out there on that football field. And I think they've, you know, tried to chip away at that, but they've got to get to the point where they convince us. And I think if you talk to either one of them, they would have the same opinion about it.
You know, one thing you can't do is worry about egos at this point in time, can you?
No, sir. We're worried about winning football games and doing what's best for this football team as a whole.
All right, let's head over to Georgia. Seriously, J.D. out of Dalton, Georgia. J.D., thanks for calling.
Yeah, I was wondering if we had a real chance of winning the national championship. I was wanting y'all's opinion on it.
Okay. All right, well, that was a quick question.
Championship.
Okay. SEC championship, first off, you got to worry about that first, Dewey. You got to worry about Florida losing to South Carolina and getting there.
Florida has to lose. Tennessee has to continue to win. Control your own destiny. Worry about LSU. Worry about Arkansas, Vandy, Kentucky. Everything will take care of itself.
And Mike, it doesn't look like Florida is going to step aside and let Tennessee slide into Atlanta.
No, I mean, I think Georgia threw a pretty good scare into Florida, but 5 turnovers for Georgia, you know, and, you know, South Carolina had some execution problems, but, you know, the Florida game becomes their bowl of sorts. I mean, they will go to the postseason, but that's the biggest game they've got left. If they could beat the Gators, that would be huge. And you know, they're certainly capable. Savell Newton, I think, is the most dangerous quarterback in the SEC because he can run the ball. And when you got a wild card like that, anything can happen. Auburn almost found out. Shoot, Tennessee almost found out before the Vols offense got it rolling.
Well, let's say this. A couple of things to just be positive about South Carolina's chances. A, South Carolina did beat Florida last year. And B, when Spurrier goes back into the swamp, you talk about an electric atmosphere for South Carolina running out onto that field. He's going to have them ready to believe they can run through a wall.
Well, he already started playing the mind games last night in the press conference. He said, well, we don't have to worry about the SEC title anymore. Not that I realized that they were. I mean, but they did control their own destiny. I didn't realize that had they won out. But he said there's no pressure on us. And so the feeling is off the kids now. They're going to play free and loose, and Florida's playing to protect something. South Carolina's going to be the hunter down there in the swamp.
Yeah, let's take another break. Come back with more of your phone calls right after this.
Early in the season, kind of had a little letdown as far as the fourth quarter with the Florida game, and guys took pride, in stepping up in the fourth quarter. And when we put those four fingers up, it's just mean business, and guys just taking pride in doing what we got to do.
Choose from, but the one we chose was, it was the pinball that was a touchdown. Here he goes, Ainge looking, doink, doink, and touchdown. And by the way, Brett Smith catches it, ball hits the ground, but he did have control, so Tennessee gets the credit for the touchdown. Let's hear from Jonathan Wade first, though, before we get back to the phone calls.
He's an outstanding receiver. He's made a lot of plays, and we knew coming in it was going to be a tough challenge.
All right, let's get back to the phone calls. Let's head over to Cleveland, Tennessee, and talk to Corey. Corey, thanks for calling.
Hey, I've been around Tennessee football for a while. My brother Quincy Prigmore played up there, and I believe it was 90 and 91. But
that's when they keep talking past the 30 seconds, a whistle blows on them. All right, Tripper, he's calling you conservative.
Well, we're going to do what it takes to win. And some people refer to it as conservative. We ran reverses, we throw it deep, ran it to the tail. Ain't a whole lot left to do other than keep executing. The thing we're going to try to do, guys, is not have wasted plays. We're going to go out there and try to execute, get 11 guys on the same page. And, obviously field position is huge to us, and we're going to play a field position game.
Well, and one factor last night, Troop, I noticed was that time of possession was really creeping up on your defense. And sometimes I think you all are running the ball maybe to give that defense a little bit more time, run the ball, run a little bit of clock, because South Carolina, because of those early turnovers, had a large time discrepancy, and David Cutcliffe did a great job evening that out. By the end of the game, it really wasn't too bad.
Dewey, you want to talk about conservative? You guys hardly threw the football, didn't you?
Well, we only threw 20 times a game maybe at halftime. I was gone if we were ahead, but I like the way this conservative offense is. That's my style. I've never seen a book yet that says you have to run to set the pass up. You pass and set the run up. But this team goes through the air, and I think that's their identity. And I think that's what they're doing to win. Throw the ball to the backs or whoever, short passes, let them go. Take what they give you.
By the way, Mike wants us to throw out a trivia question, and we'll get to Stephen Sweetwater here. But first off, throw out the trivia question, and then we'll see if anybody can answer this tonight.
Want to know the only Vol quarterback who was an MVP in 2 bowl games, Mark?
2 bowl games. All right.
That's correct. Only one Vol quarterback's won an MVP honors in 2 bowl games.
2 bowl games. All right. Steve out of Sweetwater. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing there tonight?
Doing good, man. Thanks for calling.
What I was going to try to find out tonight was your opinion about Marcus Russell, the quarterback for LSU. What type of problems will he give Tennessee's defense Saturday night?
All right. I will say this, from having watched Jamarcus Russell, he's going to present a lot of problems. He's got a gun for an arm. He can throw it about 100 yards. Problem is that at 20 plays, he's going to make 3 dumb ones, and he's going to help Tennessee stay in it, Dewey.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What I've seen of him, he's a big quarterback, got a big arm, but he tends to make too many mistakes. I think if you put pressure on him, I think you can get some turnovers, and hopefully Tennessee will do that.
Mike?
I would agree with Dewey. I mean, the guy has made some mistakes this year. He's incredibly talented. He's got a great arm. It's really going to test Larry Slade's secondary. It's going to be paramount to get pressure on him so he doesn't have time to go back there and set up and look downfield. But, yeah, he makes mistakes, and I don't think anybody's going to accuse Les Miles of being the best coach in the SEC.
And since Trooper coaches receivers and doesn't have to get himself ready to go against Jamarcus Russell, we won't even take Trooper.
No bulletin board material tonight.
There you go. Leave that one alone.
He's seen the defense.
Mike out of Lebanon. Thanks for calling, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much.
I just want to tell that trouble running the ball, which I'm not complaining. I'll take a W. And the play at the end of the game where we had to burn the timeout when we're trying to Prompton came in. I just want to know if he was audibling off to another play or what happened with that. And
All right. First off, the Crompton audible. We did talk about that. Obviously, Mike joined us a little bit late, but you're saying he did what he was supposed to do. He was audible into a pass.
Right. From the look that he got, he was looking. They had so many in the box that the look that he got, he thought he should go to a pass. But at that time in the game, you obviously want to run the clock out, and that's just an experience thing, and that's something that he'll learn from experience. And as far as the offensive line guys, I have to give those guys a lot of credit.
Yeah.
They've been taking some heat, but they've done a great job, and it doesn't always just fall on them as far as if you're not running the football. That running backs, receivers blocking, tight ends, all of it goes together. And again, we're playing winning football right now by scoring more points than the other team, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
So whatever, right?
Whatever.
You can complain all you want. We're 7-1 and number 8 in the country. So
win, baby, win. That's all it is. That's right.
Let's head over to Franklin, Tennessee, and talk to Ryan. Ryan.
Well, but I know he's an all-state running back, and I know he handled the ball back there, and I've actually kidded him about it some. But I'm trying to get guys back there with speed. It's something that we work on and emphasize. When I had LaMarcus back there and he got hurt, everybody was mad because I had a starter back there. When I didn't have him back there and we weren't doing anything, they were mad because we didn't have starters back there. So it's just hard to please. But what we're going to try to do is continue to work and emphasize big plays back there. And if you notice, we got rid of penalties. No penalties and no turnovers on special teams. And if you'll just do that, and if you'll just field the football, you give yourself a chance.
He's done pretty good, I will say that. He's electric back there.
It's hard to blame Coach Trooper or anybody else for putting Coker back there. I mean, that kick return game has been pathetic. It's been horrible, and I do think you need to put your best players back there. I see a lot of other coaches in the nation putting their best players back there. Tennessee's competing for championships, and that's what it takes. It was an unfortunate fluke injury, but there's no way at all anybody could blame Coach Trooper.
Let's head to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and welcome Eric into the locker room. Eric, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good, man.
Just show for the staff. I'd like to compliment on Trooper Taylor on how he brought up the receivers this year to the level that they're supposed to be performing at. My question is, with all the NFL marketing these days, do you see Meacham going to the NFL at the end of this season or staying? And
would you?
His last name is Taylor, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you would too.
Let's take another break. More of your phone calls right after this. You going to call him, start recruiting now?
Already.
We'll be right back.
Last year, maybe it wouldn't have been that way, but we just kept fighting, kept our heads in the game, and just counted on each other to pull this thing out.
All right, time now once again for Haywood Harris's memories, and this week.
If you think the politicians of today are a colorful lot, then you ought to think back to the 1930s. That's when Huey Long, a familiar name to anybody that's studied history of politics, was the governor of Louisiana, the Kingfish, as they called him. Tennessee was getting ready to be the host to LSU for a football game in Knoxville, and Huey Long thought it'd be a great idea if one of the railroads that ran through the state of Louisiana were to bring some LSU students up here. So it was that 4,000 LSU students got on a train down in Baton Rouge and came to Knoxville. They did it at the behest of Huey Long, and the railroads were certainly willing to chip in anything to keep the Kingfish happy. They came to Knoxville 4,000 strong, but they went back empty-handed because Tennessee won that ball game. But it's quite a colorful sight here at the University of Tennessee when the LSU students, 4,000 of them, came in on a train and watched the Tigers take their punishment at the hands of the Vols.
To come in and get a win on the road in the Southeastern Conference anytime is a big deal. I'm particularly proud of this team as to how they've continued to fight back from a number of adverse situations.
All right, let's bring Rusty out of Kingsport back in. We got a bunch of phone calls. We got to get right back to him. Rusty out of Kingsport, thanks for calling.
Thank you. Hey, is Dewey Dewey Warren the answer to the trivia question?
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Coach Taylor,
yes, sir.
Thank you for everything. We love you. You're the best. You're the best thing that's happened in Tennessee Vols football in the last 20 years. You're great. Keep it up.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And hats off to Eric Ames for having the heart to stay in there. When he hurt his ankle, he stayed in for 2 more plays. He gave it all he had. And, Mike, I know you're really disappointed the MR turned out negative because all we've heard out of you is let's get Jonathan Crompton in the ball game, and I know you're sad.
Man.
I think Rusty called earlier this week. He calls just for me.
Is this the guy that called in a few weeks ago and just said, get that joker off of there and get Adams back in there?
I think it is. I'm not disappointed. I just think that there's opportunities to develop young talent. You have to take it. I said 1998 almost didn't happen because T. Martin only had 16 career attempts going into that year.
Yeah, but he was great in the Orange Bowl in 98.
There was chances for Cut to play him the year before, and I know Ainge's percentage numbers are big, but I think you got to take advantage and develop these guys because you never know when the bell may toll.
Okay, now see, here's the deal. And see, when we do the tight shot here on one person, what I love is you at home don't get to see all the facial reactions the other guys do. Okay, so while you were talking, hang on, while you were talking
some carries before he had to come in, didn't
while you were talking, Trooper's over here going. Okay, so what were you doing that for?
I was just glad that I don't drive the train. I just take the ticket. So
seriously, you think about it. Last year,
everybody has different ideas.
When Gerald Riggs got hurt, Arian Foster was ready because you had slowly brought him along and given him some carries in some games.
But we're talking two different positions. A running back as opposed to a quarterback is different. And after Coach Cutcliffe has coached the guys that he has and what they've done, I'm in no position to second guess that, man. I trust if he tells me tomorrow's Thanksgiving, I'm buying a turkey. I'm not going to ask any questions.
You know, see, Trooper, when you came out here, I thought you were going to come out here and slam the program the whole show, second guess all the calls.
No, I won't be honest and tell you exactly what I think. But if you sit in those meeting rooms with Coach Cutcliffe and see how he pays attention to detail, he doesn't do very many things without going through it and understanding how it's going to affect this whole football team. So I'm telling you, he's won a lot of games, a lot more than I have. So I'm trusting Coach Cut through the end.
51-2 now when the Vols score 30 points or more with David Cutcliffe.
There you go.
51-2.
And there's the stat of the night. Wow. And they barely got there, too. 31. All right, let's get Emily out of Johnson City. Emily, thanks for calling. Emily got 31 seconds. I mean, she
got it all, too.
Man.
Well, Emily, I'm not good with computers, so these guys are have to answer that question.
Well, the first thing Tennessee can do is win all their football games. They got a loss, and that really hurts them bad. As far as why Cal's ahead of Tennessee, it's somewhat convoluted, but bottom line is it comes down to your opponents and your opponent's opponents. And usually Memphis and Marshall are going to be better football teams than this, but they're both having horrible years. Memphis also lost a game to a Division I AA team. The computers don't like that. But the loss to Florida is what's separating Tennessee for a chance for the national championship. You can't get around it. If Tennessee were to be undefeated right now, I have no doubt in my mind they would be 3 at the very lowest in Ohio State and Michigan play. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and this is the best system that we've got right now.
And the thing is that with the one loss, I mean, you're going to have 2 undefeated teams very likely. If you get to that point, it doesn't matter where you are in the BCS. You're going to be in a BCS bowl anyway. You're going to make a lot of money for the conference. It's going to help you nationally in recruiting. Everything's fine if you just get to that point. We'll take another break. More of your phone calls right after this.
It was a great play by he and Eric, and he's a guy that mismatches people. They changed defensively tonight because we heard them just about every time they were in man coverage, and he's a guy that kind of changes the game that way.
11th call of the week, and for Tennessee, a 3rd down and 15. Eric Ainge gets his feet underneath him and throws a strike across the middle to Jason Swain. What a big play for Tennessee as they do win the game 31-24. Let's hear quickly, though, from another player, a defensive back.
It meant so much to us, when the offense down, defense has to go out there and pick them up, and that's what we did. We went out there and played hard Tennessee defense because that's what we're known for.
All right, this is our last call segment. 15 seconds is how long you get in this round. This is our rapid fire round, Trooper, so they got to go fast, Dewey. Let's see, we've got Jay out of Knoxville. Jay, go for it.
Yeah, first of all, Trooper, we love you.
Thank you.
I'm calling. We want to know what's up with the fullback package and why we don't use the fullback more to get more running yards.